This week, the people who were selected to go to the Olympics were announced, those Tokyo Olympics. It's real funny because it's like the Olympics, the 2020 Olympics that happen to be happening in the end of July of 2021, a little bit postponed. But this week, several people that I want to focus on in particular were announced as Olympic participants for the United States. One of them you probably know because she just graduated from UT. Anybody know her name? Tara Davis. She is an amazing young woman. NCAA indoor and outdoor long jump champion. She's been competing, as I said, at UT for years. She's one of the top 30 best long jumpers of all time. And her expression when she realized she had qualified for the Olympics made international news as a perfect photo of just the excitement of being accepted into the Olympics. Now, Tara is dating a young man whose name is Harper Woodhall. Now, Hunter Woodall. Now, he was born in February of 1909 with fibular hemimelia. The long bones of his legs didn't develop properly. And at the age of 11, his parents had to make the difficult decision to amputate both of his legs below the knee. Now, he tells about going to school and being teased and teased and teased. And then he discovered, with the help of coaches, that he could run. And he's the first paraplegic athlete to win a Division I athletic scholarship. He went to the University of Arkansas. And there he competed against able-bodied people. And he won the bronze 4x4 relay with his team. Was nominated for Game Changer of the Year through all of the NCAA Division I athletes. And he was named a first-team All-American in the 4x400 relay and distance medley relay. It is pretty awesome. If you get a chance, look online for a photo of this young couple. They are amazing. He hugged her. There's this beautiful picture of him celebrating with her because as soon as he qualified for the Paralympics, he booked it to Portland, Oregon, where she was in the trials for the regular Olympics. And so they celebrate and support each other. They are pretty amazing. I think they are a great example of the athletes that we want to support and encourage as they do this amazing thing of using their bodies in a really hard way. I can't even imagine running. Well, I'm running a little bit. My goal is a 5K, so I think that's probably why I'm so impressed with them, especially with him, because I barely trot along on two good legs. And here is a young man who, with the carbon fiber legs, he runs so fast. He could compete at the Division I level in our athletics here and be in the Paralympics. Hunter Woodall says, the biggest reason to tune in to the Paralympics is because of the stories that come along with the Paralympics. things that people have had to fight through and go through just to be here, he said. At the end of the day, we are all humans and all in the same field. If people can come out here and compete after the things they've gone through and still be chasing their dreams, that shows that everyone's on the same level. As we, at the end of July, listen for the Star-Spangled Banner to be played as an American stands on the winner's podium, I hope that we will remember all that it took for these people to get here. We can get so caught up in the stories of failure, of drug tests and things that go wrong, and we put so much weight and expectation on these young athletes that it seems really unfair. That when we celebrate their representation of us, we also remember that they are doing really hard stuff to represent us. So as we celebrate today, the 4th of July, our Independence Day, our 245th anniversary, I'd like us to think also about what it means to not be perfect. This is not in a bad way. I'm not going to go fuss about the United States in any way. I just want to make that clear, okay? I love my country. And I think it's important for us to think about letting our country, just like us, be really the way we are. And what better way to do that than to look at Bible stories? You see, one of the reasons I love reading the Bible is I don't feel like I'm a failure when I do. Because the stories in the Bible are full of just, they're people who are real. People who screw up, people who make poor decisions, people who are trying, people who are working, people who keep turning back to God and saying, I'm sorry. And when I read the Bible, I think, okay, all I have to do when I mess up is say, I'm sorry, and try again. So today's 2 Corinthians reading is from the letter of Paul to those Corinthians. Now, Paul, as I'm sure most or all of you know, Paul has a great story. Paul was zealous for God. He was a zealous Israelite. He was one who was involved in the persecution of the Way, the original Christian community, because he knew that they were wrong. He was also at the stoning of Stephen, though he didn't throw a stone. Then Paul was on his road to Damascus, actually to go persecute more followers of Jesus. And God spoke directly to him, and he was blind for 3 days. And in that blindness, in that time, he understood that he had a different purpose, that Jesus was the way, the truth, and Paul's life. So Paul became famous with the early Christians. Actually, we have the New Testament, we have our Bible, because a lot of it is Paul's writings. Paul was the first one whose letters to the different cities were kept. And so we have those as our most ancient writings about following Jesus. And yet, Paul was real in his letters. And in today's letter, he talks about a weakness that he has. I've always kind of pictured Paul as a little bit egotistical, very proud, and struggling against that. And he admits multiple times in all of his writings that he struggled with something. And he writes, as in today's reading, to keep me from being too elated, a thorn was given me in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me, to keep me from being too elated. We don't know what Paul's thorn was. There's been a lot of speculation about that, but there's no way to know from the writings. And his thorn isn't the point. It's what Paul learned from that thorn that's the point. He says, 3 times I appealed to the Lord about this, that it would leave me. But the Lord said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness. So what did Paul learn from that thorn in his flesh? That Paul learned that when he acknowledged his weakness, he found strength in Christ. He said, so I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may dwell in me. Therefore, I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities for the sake of Christ. For whenever I am weak, then I am strong. Like Paul, we can get so focused on our own ability to succeed, or whatever it is that's keeping us from succeeding, that we don't turn to God and lean on God and take God's power and grace. Like Paul, we have to become aware of what we're holding on to. Our own judgment, the voices in our head, all the things around us that get in our way, that tell us we are good, we are not good, we're a success, we're a failure. All those things that try to make us think in black and white. The things that try to make us say, you're wrong, I'm right. Or you're right, I'm wrong. The second one doesn't happen very often. It's more often, I'm right, you're wrong. All of those things are like Paul's thorn in the side. Because you see, they keep us from opening up to the possibilities that God is giving to us. I wear this rainbow stole for many reasons, but the thing I love about rainbows is they're not black and white. Rainbows happen when white light is split through the prism of the rain. And we see that white light is made up of many different colors. We as a nation, as a people, as a community are made up of many different possibilities. And when the thorn in our side pokes us, as Paul calls it, the Satan, the messenger that says, my way is the only way, then maybe we need to listen to God's message and say, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is made perfect in weakness. But how as human beings, how can we do this? What can we do? Well, as individuals, there's something that I learned from the program of Al-Anon, which are friends and family of alcoholics. It's called the 3 A's. Awareness. When we become aware of our thinking or what we are doing, we let that awareness exist. We say, wow, the voice in my head is saying, Ellen, you can't run, so don't even try. Don't bother. Or maybe to Hunter, those kids in school that said, oh, you're a freak because you don't have legs. Or who knows what Tara heard, being an amazing long jumper, probably told that she was ugly. So when we become aware of that stuff, we just let it be there. And then the next step is to accept it and to say, oh, that stuff is happening. You don't have to do anything about it right now. You just have to practice accepting it. Yeah, there's a voice in my head that says, Ellen, you're too short and fat to be able to run. Don't even try. And then when we become aware and we accept, then we can act. Because at that point and that point only are we able to say, God, I am struggling here. I need your strength in my weakness. That's what we can work on as a country, as a community, as individuals. We love our country, we love our community, we have loved ones around us, and we love ourselves. When we give ourselves the opportunity to let go of power and claim God's power, God's grace, God's strength, God's mercy. That is what Paul is talking about. We know the world isn't perfect. And that's okay. God created a wonderful, beautiful world full of wonderful, beautiful people. And God says, I will make you perfect. Let me. Will you do that?